Face a dilemma. Paragraph 1. In several European countries, scientists calculate that the coronavirus outbreak has now reached a peak. They expect the number of deaths and the number of new cases of the virus to gradually decline. In this situation, the governments of those countries now face a dilemma. On the one hand, there are fears that if the restrictions presently imposed are lifted too quickly, then the coronavirus may once again begin to spread among the population. On the other hand, poorer people are suffering financially during this outbreak. They need to return to work as soon as possible in order to pay their bills and feed their families. Vocabulary notes. To face a dilemma. If you face or are faced with something difficult or unpleasant, you are in a situation that is going to affect you and you are going to have to deal with it. In this expression, you have to face or deal with a dilemma. A dilemma is a difficult situation in which you have to choose between two or more alternatives. A person or an organization may face a dilemma because only people can choose between different alternatives. In paragraph 1, the governments of Europe face a difficult situation, a dilemma, because the spread of the coronavirus is slowing down. They now have hard choices to make about when to lift the restrictions on the movement and activities of the population. Some people will criticize the governments for acting too quickly and irresponsibly. Others will criticize the governments for acting too slowly and cautiously. So, in paragraph 1, the context of face a dilemma is that the subject, European governments, have to deal with, or to face, a difficult situation, the impact of the coronavirus. There are two or more possible solutions, and choosing the best solution is a dilemma. Do the governments lift the restrictions quickly, slowly, or not lift any restrictions at the moment? In other words, they face a dilemma. It is common to use an adjective to describe the dilemma. For example, paragraph 2. Not all sportsmen and sportswomen take up their sport for fame and fortune. The most famous boxer in the history of the sport, Muhammad Ali, faced a grave moral dilemma at one point in his career. The U.S. government ordered him to join the army and to go to Vietnam. If he refused, he would lose all his titles as the heavyweight boxing champion of the world. Ali refused to fight in the war, and so he lost all his boxing titles. Opinion in the U.S. was divided. Some people called Ali unpatriotic, but others respected him for showing the same moral courage in his life as the physical courage that he showed in his sport. In paragraph 2, a person, not an organization, faced a dilemma. In this context, he had only two choices, and the two choices were opposite. He could fight in the U.S. Army, or he could refuse to fight. In addition to using face a dilemma in writing task 2, it is also a useful expression in the speaking part of the exam. You can use it, for instance, to talk about a personal experience. Here is one example. Paragraph 3. I'd like to talk about a memorable family event, my sister's wedding. I remember that it took place on the weekend before I was due to sit a really important exam. I was faced with a tricky dilemma. Should I spend the weekend studying, or should I travel to Ho Chi Minh City for the wedding? To be honest, it wasn't a difficult choice, and of course I wanted to be there on such a happy day for my sister. Even if I failed my exam, there would always be another chance in the future. I would never have missed her special day. Notice that in paragraph 3, we use the passive form, I was faced with a dilemma. The preposition with follows the passive form and goes before a dilemma. Notice also the use of a more informal adjective, tricky, in this speaking example. Again, there are two possible choices. I choose one thing to go to the wedding, therefore I cannot do the other thing to stay home and study for the exam.